Hi there. This time I'd like to talk about some changes I am proposing in the power structure of the United States. Now, power has been traveling the wrong direction in this country for the last 40 years. It has been transferred from we the people of the United States to inhuman entities who are in fact our enemies. This is the result of Ronnie Rodeo's reactionary Republican revolution. Cabals of corporations and clubs of aristocracies have been accumulating power at the expense of human beings. It's been happening for 40 years, but lately it's getting worse. And it's time to fix it. This video is part of a series in which I describe a larger agenda for change that I am recommending. For an overview of this agenda, you might want to check out my video, Counter-Revolution, a 9-point agenda for change. In addition to changing the power structure, I also have recommendations for changing the direction and changing the Constitution of the United States. Now, why change the power structure? Well, because the power and the wealth of our nation has been stolen, and we need to take it back. And if we are going to change the power structure, we need to use the institution of government to do it. It is the only tool at our disposal which is powerful enough to overcome our enemies. And clear evidence of this is the fact that our enemy's primary objective for the last 40 years of Ronnie Rodeo's reactionary Republican revolution has been to weaken our government and to take control of it. Now, what kind of changes am I proposing to the power structure? Well, simply to redirect government actions toward improving life of human beings now and in the future. And at the same time, to reduce the power of aristocracies and corporations. In other words, a radical reversal of Ronnie Rodeo's reactionary Republican revolution. The changes consist of 3 initiatives: refocus tax policy, reform corporations, and reconsider warfare. First, refocus tax policy. I recommend 3 changes and 3 specific tax changes. So there's general changes, which consist of number 1, making our tax laws clear and easy to understand and to comply with. 2, taxing those who can afford it and regulating those who need it. And 3, encouraging and enforcing voluntary compliance with our tax laws. The 3 specific tax changes pertain to social cost and benefit taxation, the anti-aristocracy tax, and the pro-investment tax. Now, these tax law changes are not really changes so much as a redirection of these tax types back to their original and just purposes in service of people's government. But first, social cost and benefit taxes. These are designed to discourage certain behaviors and to encourage others. As refocused, they will discourage activities which damage human health and environment while encouraging those which are good for human beings. Second, the anti-aristocracy tax. This tax is often referred to by its enemies as the death tax. Its purpose is to tax excessive wealth given to beneficiaries who have not earned it. As you can imagine, aristocracies don't like this tax, and so they have gutted it by lowering the rates and by creating many loopholes. We need to fix this. My proposal would close the loopholes and raise the tax rate to the point where if an aristocracy is trying to transfer more than $500 million to undeserving heirs, the tax rate would be 98%. Now, the third of these three taxes is the pro-investment tax. This tax is currently referred to as the capital gains tax. As presently constituted, it makes it easy for those with excess wealth to maintain and grow that wealth. After the changes which I propose, its purpose will be to encourage anyone with wealth to invest that wealth in funding long-term projects. Now, for details of these tax changes, you should see my video, Refocus Tax Policy, using tax laws to support human rights. I don't want to go into too much detail here because I have a little bit more to cover, because in addition to refocusing tax policy, I also recommend reforming corporations and reconsidering warfare. As to the reform of corporations, we 21st century humans accept corporations as a kind of a fact of life, as though they've always been here. But that's not the case. As a matter of fact, corporations are relatively new additions to our culture. But they have gotten way out of hand. Their original purpose was to serve the good of humans and society in general. But they have become a force of their own within society and have combined with aristocracies to steal the government from human beings. They have no moral values other than growth and profit. And often they do not plan further than the next quarterly reports. I propose 3 changes to put corporations back in their place within society, operated by and for human beings. First, recalibrate timeframes. Cause corporations to look further into the future and to behave as responsible citizens. This can largely be accomplished through pro-investment tax, which I mentioned earlier. Second is to rebalance stakeholder rights. Instead of ownership being 100% in the hands of shareholders, I propose that it be shared with employees, with state legislatures, which granted the corporation's charter, and with the beneficiaries designated in that charter. To restore governmental control, I recommend, among other things, the breaking up of monopolies and holding corporate officers and even shareholders responsible for the behavior of the corporations. I have a whole lot to say about corporations and the details of these 3 proposals in other videos. But we've talked about refocusing the tax law and reforming corporations. But before this video is through, I want to talk about my proposal that we reconsider warfare. Because warfare is destructive, and it's not good for human beings. In a world of economic interdependence and instant communication, Warfare, as it has been practiced throughout history, is now obsolete. Our technology has produced an ultimate weapon which could be used to destroy all of human society and much of Earth life. Warfare just doesn't make sense anymore. And in America, that segment of our economy which supports warfare efforts consumes far too much of our resources and has an unconscionable amount of power. But the corporations which benefit from that spending are not the ones who pay the price. Because in warfare, always, young human beings are killed and maimed in body and mind. And often, as in the case in the last 40 years, in mostly unnecessary wars. So, I propose that we rethink our strategic position. Report reality. Let the people know what we are really spending on warfare, and redesign our military. Now, details on these proposals may be found in my video on reconsidering warfare. This has not been a short video, and yet I have only briefly summarized my proposals for changing the power structure. But they are three: refocus tax policy, reform corporations, and reconsider warfare. And as I've mentioned, the details on these proposals and many other videos may be easily found at your friendly neighborhood internet at www.daffwold.com. Thank you all for your attention. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you have enjoyed it. And I hope you'll join me again sometime.